200,000.
200,000. Here we are. What's up?
200th episode?
No.
Oh,
Come
I
on,
thought that-
Trent. This is episode number 21. Keep up,
21,
please.
21.
Next podcast is going to be a quiz to see if you've been watching.
Welcome.
Ooh.
You guys, welcome to Between the
Let's
Sheets.
do
Welcome
it.
back.
Hi, guys.
Episode number 21.
Episode number
I am
21.
your host.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that was just a little down.
Got a
girl.
little
She's
excited.
like excited. Like a little kid. I can picture Whitney as a kid too. Oh my God, I love it. My name is Leah. I am your host. I am a God-fearing, money-making, manifesting queen.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my co-host, Whitney.
WHITNEY period pose. Welcome. We're back.
We have our other co-host.
Oh, I got the co-host turn. Oh, man, I'm about to cry. What's up, y'all? My name is Trenton Cotton, and I'm just here kicking it.
Just kicking it.
Just kicking it. Sorry.
Just kicking it. And we have a special guest who
Yes,
I'm
we
very
do.
excited to have on the show. I've heard a lot about her from
Yes.
Trent and have seen her, just kind of been looking at her posts on Instagram
Yes.
and what she's,
Internet
some of her
stalking.
lives, some
Yes.
of her little, skits and whatnot. So introduce yourself.
I'm Luso.
Are you nervous, Luso?
I'm nervous, and that's all.
You know what I find so funny is that she's nervous and you get up in front of live
Right.
people. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
recorded. So there's no mess ups.
Right.
There's like just us in the room having a conversation.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I know, it's
Comfortable.
weird. I'm the opposite of most people. Like, having one-on-one conversations with people makes me so anxious. But the more people you put me in front of on a stage,
You're good.
I'm so
Interesting.
comfortable.
Super interesting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super interesting.
Super
That is
interesting.
interesting.
So we're gonna dive into your story a little
Yes,
bit, Lou. So,
yes.
well, first and foremost, let me just back up a little bit, back it up. You were excited about something, and I just
It's our first podcast of the year, guys.
Oh,
Yes.
it is.
It is our
Yes.
first
Happy New Year.
podcast.
Yes,
Happy
22.
New Year,
Yeah.
everybody.
2022. Happy New Year.
2020.
We are
22.
starting this year on a new leaf, and we
Are you?
about to. That's not what
I'm gonna call her out.
Come on, because I'm curious. I'm curious.
I'm trying.
I'm gonna let you guys know it's day 4 for me without a cigarette.
Oh yeah,
That's big. That's big time.
It is.
Yes.
It's super big. Yeah,
And I had to decide for me,
I'm not doing too well.
that I can't depend on anybody else to quit with me. That I just need to do it for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I want to be rid of it, and I want to just. And so I said, you know what? That's it, Leah.
Are
I'm
you
done.
doing it cold turkey or are you
Yep.
doing
Yeah,
like
Cold
gum?
turkey. She's
or-
doing it
Cold
cold
turkey.
turkey.
You could do it. You got a
I said when my pack was gone, I'm done.
Yeah.
I have.
You said that like 5 times. Though.
no. I haven't got another pack. I told you.
You
she's
said
got
the first you were going to be done.
Lou, do you smoke
I
cigarettes?
said
I stuck to the first.
I said I was going to buy a pack on New Year's, and once that was gone, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, now you guys have heard it live.
Okay.
She put
Reporting
me on the
live.
spot too, so now she's going to hold me accountable.
And she told me I got to be mean to her. Like she told
Yeah.
me, I said, well, how can I help you? And she said, you got to be mean to me. And I was like, oh, I could be mean.
Yeah.
Like, do you really want me to be mean? She said, yeah,
That's
I
the
need
only
that.
way I'm
I
gonna
said, okay,
listen.
well then I'll be mean.
That's the only way I'm going to listen.
So
No.
anyways, I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions. I really don't. Like
No.
I used to be the person that was like, oh yeah, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. I do feel like the New Year's brings a new feeling of refreshment and
Yes.
just kind of a new start and like new beginnings. And so it gets me kick-started to kind of get back into my norm.
Right.
But I don't believe like, okay, this is the day. I mean, I did stop on January 1st. Like that was my last cigarette,
Right.
because that's what I said.
Right.
It's easier to keep track of,
Yeah, like a date, right?
Well, New
Day
Year's is
4.
just a big holiday for affirmations. It's
Right.
just are you going to
Yes.
stick to them throughout
Exactly.
the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Well,
we're-
technically, the new year actually starts around the spring, like April.
who, the
like,
Chinese people?
No, for everybody, like Earth,
Okay,
planet
I was
Earth.
I didn't know.
We love Chinese people.
I know, yeah.
Exactly.
I was curious. Like, I know that they have different calendars and stuff.
Lou's husband
I had
is
no
Asian,
idea
so-
that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's fine. We can say what we want because I'm in with the Asian.
Real raw and authentic.
For black people, it starts when the ball drops and we watch it on TV. Okay.
Just saying,
when it starts.
Springtime for me.
Springtime is actually the new year, huh?
Yeah, that's when everything from
Everything's
dead
new
to
and-
that's when everything is new. That new growth.
There's a lot of scripture about that. You know that?
Ooh, Easter Sunday.
Yeah. It's coming up in what? Is it April or March? I always get it
It
confused.
changes every
I'm not
year.
sure.
I feel like
What,
it does
Easter?
too. Easter.
Yeah.
It's April.
I think it's April. Yeah,
See?
because St. Patrick's Day is in
March.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it is like the first week of April or something,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. First Sunday in April?
Right.
Interesting. That's interesting. You know that, Chris.
Oh, I just got
No,
that.
I'm just saying,
Is this the Google guy? You're like, hey, Chris, Google when Easter is.
Yes. Like, hey, Chris, I need you to
Gotta
get on top of that. Hey.
Yo, that would be dope.
No, he really is. Like, I can call
Yeah.
Chris and I'm like, Chris, I need you. Like, sometimes he's like, comes through real quick. Sometimes it's like a couple weeks.
Yes.
But no, he is like my in-home Google.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Shout out, Chris.
Shout out, Chris. Shout out, Chris. Okay, so let's actually get back into
Right,
it now.
right.
So I am very excited to hear a little bit about you. So my one of my first question is, who is Lou? Like,
Right.
give me a little bit of background on who you are.
I am not one to really. I don't really like talk about myself. a
Talk
lot,
to him,
so
Lou.
Yeah, we need to know.
We need to know who you are.
I grew
Where do you
up-
come from?
I wanna know your name, man. I wanna know if you got a man. wanna know.
I don't want to know about all
don't
that.
like that.
I
I don't
just
like
want to
that.
know.
It's the song, the
Stop.
Mario
Stop.
song. It was the. I'm sorry, Lou.
I'm sweating. I don't know. I grew up in Utah.
Okay.
I grew up Mormon, so came from a very conservative family. I'm the only girl, so I grew up
Wow.
with 5 brothers.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't
In
know
a
if it
Mormon
just-
family, dang, that's tough.
Yeah, yeah. All my brothers like went on Mormon missions. They were all
Right.
super in the church, and I was the one like, excuse me,
Outcast,
you know,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah. So that was kind of crazy. So I grew up just doing what I wanted. Really.
So you were like the black sheep, like
Yeah.
literally.
yeah.
Yeah. And when did you start kind of straying away from that? Like that whole.
I went back and forth between being in the church and not several times. It was probably around when I was 25 that I finally was like, listen, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But
Right.
for a long time I was like, listen, I gotta get it together.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? And when I had my first baby, I was like, I gotta get it together now.
Right.
Like now that you have kids, like that's when you have to stop drinking.
Gotta be an adult.
Yeah. But then like after having a baby, I was like, this is more reason to drink. Like I don't know why. Like, it's
I
the-
need a shot.
More wine.
yeah.
Get high
Dip
or
the
something.
pacifier in it.
Yeah.
You can go to sleep, kid.
Right. Like my parents were totally sober raising us, and I don't know
How they did it.
how they did it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
6
of
kids.
So 6 kids.
Yeah, because in
Yeah.
the Mormon, like, isn't it that the more kids you have, the better off you are in heaven or something like that? Or no?
Well, it's just all about the family,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's just I guess the more kids you have, the more family you have to family about.
Legacy or something of that
Legacy,
nature.
and I think the Mormon faith, and correct me if I'm wrong, they do not believe in birth control.
They do.
Oh,
They
okay.
do. That's
Okay.
the Catholic.
Okay.
There's a couple of myths that
Yes.
I've heard along the way, and it's actually interesting to learn
Right.
because I have a girlfriend who's very, very close to me, and she grew up in the Mormon church as well. And I would ask her so many questions, like, "Is this true?" And she's like, "No." Is this
Right.
true? No. I'm like, "Really? Okay." So I've been like totally thrown
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lou, you could
So-
break all the stereotypes for Mormon church
absolutely.
right now.
You really can.
Well, she already has.
right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So that's what a lot of my comedy is about, is just growing up Mormon and kind of trying to do the right thing, but never actually
Right.
doing it.
Well,
Never-
and
I mean,
bet
and what
you
is the
know.
right thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? According to who?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's my biggest thing is I grew up so like everything's so black and white,
Right.
you know, like right and wrong, black and white. And so that has been like my life the last few years is just trying to break that down and
Right.
like retrain my brain to
Yeah.
think like what works for one person doesn't work for another
right.
person.
That's very true.
Right. And just feeling good about whatever it is that you feel good about. You know?
How did
and
your
doing that.
family handle you kind of like stepping away or like pushing against what they believed? Like, how did they handle that?
When I was growing up, my dad had a harder time with it. My mom's always been super supportive of me. I was actually her only child, so my dad was married before, had my 5 brothers, and then married my mom. They had me. So,
The plot thickens.
So
Yeah,
it was
so
a
my
different
mom-
dynamic. It wasn't like you were in the house, like growing up around all 5 of those boys, or was it?
yeah. So, yeah, they mainly lived with their mom, and I would
Okay.
just see them every once in a while. So I
Okay.
kind of had the best of both worlds because I
Right.
was like an only child, but had all these,
Right.
brothers.
Spoiled.
So yes, that's
what
what
it sounds
that
like
is.
to me.
That yes, that is the case. But my mom just was like so sweet. I was just her world, right? All she wanted was like a baby. Like she was just
Right.
one of those moms that was just like, I just want to be a mom my whole life, you know. And I love her. And my dad, he's great. We're really close now. But growing up, like it was not great. Like when I was 16, I stole my parents' car and drove to Vegas.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
So
Exactly. She
like-
has I'm not to cut you off, but she has a similar story. And I said, see, you single dads out there, you go to sleep, your daughters steal cars. Anyway, continue, Lou.
I mean, I didn't go as far as Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was.
You couldn't because you crashed it. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I fell asleep driving.
Oh Lord.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I mean, I wasn't the easiest to deal with, but so at that point, he was like, "Listen, like I would have rather you just die than have to sit here and deal with your betrayal."
Oh my God.
That's heavy.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness.
Then I just like basically ran off with a guy, and
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yep.
Yeah, and just kind of like did whatever was going to make my dad mad. So I went through that. I got married and was divorced a year later, and then after that, I kind of became closer with my parents, I guess, because I calmed down.
Right.
You know, and now like they're cool with me being married to somebody who's not in the church. And he's a really, my husband's like he's a really good dad. He's a really good husband.
Great
like,
guy. Met him. Strong.
Yeah.
Muscles.
He has so many muscles. And that's all that matters. So many muscle. I count them every day to make sure there's no more loss of the muscle. So that's what's important. And I told my dad that. So we're working on it.
Okay, so you have one kiddo.
Two
Kiddos. Okay, two
Yeah,
kiddos.
yeah.
Been through one divorce.
Yeah.
Okay, and you moved away pretty young from home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when did you start to fall in love with the whole comedy scene? Like, how did that even come into place?
I've always loved comedy. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of stuff growing up. So compared to my other comedy friends, like I'm not as well versed in maybe some of like the older, comics that they refer back to.
Right.
I'm just now catching up on that stuff, but I feel like laughter was kind of always my safe space. Like
Right.
when I would feel so awkward or uncomfortable, I've always been super weird and socially awkward. And so that's my comfort, right? Like at least if I can make you laugh, then maybe you like me.
Right.
That's kind
Yes.
of what it started out as. So I think like I've always just been like a goofy, weird, funny person.
Right.
And then it wasn't until, so I had my kids younger. I had my first baby at 23, which for me, I felt young, you know?
Right.
And then I had my second one at 27. So I was like, I'm just going to do that and focus on my kids, raise my kids. And you kind of get in that mentality of, well, it's too late now. You know, you don't realize how young you
Speak
are
on
until
that.
you're older.
Speak on that.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, like just starting new things when you're,
Yes.
you know, and I'm not like, now I think back to even when I was 30, I'm 33 now. And I'm like, I wasn't old. I'm not
Right.
old.
Yes.
I'm just now retraining my brain again because in Utah, everyone gets married at like 18. They're having kids. They're doing all this stuff, you know, and if you don't have all these things by the time you're like 25, then what are you doing?
What are you doing with your
Yeah.
life?
Yeah. So,
I love that you spoke on that because, you know, there are so many individuals who started their career and their life after age 40.
Yes.
Even so thinking at 27, like, okay, well, wait, like this might be, you know, it's like, no, you can start whenever it is that you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really
Right.
encourage other people to do that because you can.
Yeah.
100%. You know?
Right.
And then not only that, I think finding your calling within that, like, and then being
Yes.
able to really pursue it. I think you know who you are more as a woman, even at that age. You, at least for me, I really started to come to who I was at age 27. You know, okay, let me start to really learn about who I am, what I like, what I desire. And I got really selfish for the next like 5 years. I really did. My youngest was born. My youngest was, I think I was having my youngest at 27.
Right.
So it was right after him. And I said, okay, you know, it's time for me to figure out me. And so he got the shit end of the stick a little bit, you know. But I it was important though. It was really important because I was doing exactly what we were told to do. Oh, let's buy a house. Okay, the next thing, let's get a car. Let's have babies. Like we're married. Everything is, you know, so good. And really it wasn't. But really I was just doing the motions.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Going through the
Yeah.
And then I found
Yeah.
myself lost. Like, who am I? Like, what am I doing? Am I even happy?
Right. Like what's going to happen when your kids grow? Like I see my mom now, again, love my mom, but I'm already going to I'm going to cry about it. Like she's just like, is at home, like by herself. Like she has like a little
Yes.
dog and like, she just like sits and like watches the news all day long. Like she dedicated her whole life to me. you know? And it's like, but now it's like, I'm doing my own thing. And like, yes, I love my mom. I call her, I talk to her and stuff, but I can't.
You can't
give
be there
her,
all the time.
Yeah, I can't give her like hobbies and stuff to do. So I'm just thinking like my kids are eventually going to move, you know, and then I'm going to have a life after my kids.
Mama's got to have a life too.
Yeah.
Yes. Parents got to have their lives too.
I think. No, go. You go ahead.
Well, I was just talking to Jules about that same thing. You know, her son, she has like an 8 or 9 year old, and he's getting older, and he's been spending more time with dad. And Jules told me the other day, she was like, man, I have all this time on my hands. I don't know what to do with myself because I've just been, you know, son. She forgot what she was on, what she was into.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just finding that balance.
So many, I think, parents and moms, I should say. I'm not going to, you know, I can't speak on a dad, but I do hear. We hear, you know, in the suite at least, that it's just so many moms lose themselves in that whole process. And you're right. You can really get to the point where you are raising your kid and dedicating everything to them. Right. Yes. And you've just lost yourself, you know, on the other side.
And I'll say this too, you know, I am not in the trenches every day. I'm not an everyday parent. You know, I am a one summer over the month, every other school break and holiday, you know, dad, you know, and I'm in this Facebook group. I seen it the other day. This dad, it's like a dad support group. Right. He posted like, oh, I won full custody to my kids, and I got 3 of them, and he's just like he won the Super Bowl, and I'm reading it like, I'm thinking, scary. Man, that sounds like an L, dog. You know, I love my daughter, but I know I got the better end of the deal.
I'm done with you.
What is today? Tuesday? Okay. So either I get to go watch my daughter, my, you know, 4 or 5 year old daughter struggle to get over the balance beam at 8:30 p.m. or I could be at an open mic chasing my dreams. And then I'll see you in July.
I'm glad you bring that up because a lot of people, I mean, let's call a thing. Women, and I'm sorry, some people may disagree with me. I don't care, but moms take on a heavier load with the relationship with their children than fathers do.
And I respect that.
It's not for every on a typical. But even at the same point, all the women that I've been around that I know are mothers. They're the disciplinary. They are the ones putting their foot down. They're the ones providing. They're having to deal with all of the work, and then dads get the enjoyment of, oh, the fun dad. Dad's home. We're gonna do this with dad. We're gonna do that with dad. Instead of it being like, no, we're sharing this equally. I don't think men and women share the task of being a parent the same. I know it exists. Yeah. I know that there's single dads out there that are probably going like, above and beyond for their kids. Yeah,
which I respect too. Of course. But it's like, you know, to make me able to sleep at night is okay. There is a court arrangement and I fulfill it on the child support end and then on my time. Right. So it's like that quality over quantity for me. Like you said, when my daughter, let's go to Hawaii or let's spoil you. Okay, see you later. Go back to your mom. And y'all can do.
You get to be the fun dad.
But I love my daughter though.
I mean, that was my dynamic. My dad was fun dad. He let me get away with bloody murder. I could drink, do drugs. I could do whatever I wanted at my dad's house. But I knew when it was time to go back to mom that.
But see, what you didn't know is that you were screaming
of course. For his structure. Attention and his structure. Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
You ain't doing that at my house, McKenna. You already know. I shut all that down. And I call her once a week.
I cannot wait till she gets older and you go through her first, like, real mess up.
I'm waiting for it.
I want to see your face. I need you to take a picture of your face in the moment.
I will, and I'll send it to you.
And I'll send it to you.
I'm just sending you a short
what
video.
Happened?
Like, I'm pissed right now.
And hang up and send it to you.
Because it's going to happen.
I love that.
It's going to happen.
So let me take this back again. So you found yourself, you just kind of were, you like to create jokes. You were the one that kind of, you wanted to take the attention off of you, but it also kind of brings attention back on you. Don't you feel like that with comedians in general? Is that like a lot of the times in the uncomfortableness is why they make jokes and why they're like, okay, I love what you said too, is I just want to make you laugh. So maybe you'll like me, you know, so there's some insecurities in that, but then it does draw attention back to you. Right. So how did you start to like really come to that, like, this is what you wanted to do, that, man, I like this, you know, either like spotlighting this way or spotlighting this way to, you know, like, man, I'm enjoying as well. So you knew what it also did for you, right? Right. But then you probably saw what it also did for others. Talk to me about that for just a moment.
I think once I got on this stage, that's when I figured out that that's where like my comfort is. It's weird because it's like everything in my life I've always seen it, you know, before it's happened, right? So like I
just like her more and more.
I told you guys would like her.
Yeah, I mean everything. It's like the way that my life is now. Like I pictured when I was, you know, when I was like a teenager or younger, and then it's like when I got into my 20s, I knew that I was going to be on a stage. I was in network marketing for a long time. Okay. That's like such a Utah thing, a Utah thing. But I learned so much from network marketing. But I would see the people on this stage, like they have a lot of, that's where I started my personal development, right? Was with network marketing. And so
you're always being prepped.
Right. Yeah. And so I'd see people on stage all the time. So I knew that I'd want to be on a stage. So I just like had that vision in my head already. And then, I don't know. I would just like I was talking to my best friend. I really have only a few like super close friends. My best friend, she's super successful. Like she's that person that, you know, she's not going to try and compete with you because she's so focused on what she's doing. Right. So she has like the ability to support you and like be that person, you know, somebody really has to be in a good place to be able to do that. And I know that I haven't been in that place, you know, previously, so I appreciate her, but she signed me up for a talent show on a cruise that we were on.
I love it. Did she tell you, or was it a surprise?
And was this your first time?
Yeah, this was my very first time doing comedy. So I had been like, we had been talking about it.
She
like
pushed her. Yes. She made her jump.
Yep. Yeah. So somebody actually, basically like tricked me into actually doing it.
I love it.
Because like, when are you ever going to be ready?
Exactly.
Like you're not.
Right.
Like, I tell comics that all the time.
I
like,
love that. Yes.
You're either
gym,
way.
drop the gym, drop the gym.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So she signed me up and I just wrote a couple jokes, got up on the stage. It was like the worst setup for comedy, right? Like people were drunk, like they were loud. Yeah. All the other acts were like singers and dancers. And then I get up there and I'm like, so I have a dog. So I didn't do great. And then I don't know. But I had so much fun. Like
it was then.
I didn't crush.
It was because of that moment.
Yeah.
Wow. What's your best friend's name?
Tanea.
Shout out to Naya for making that
push. She is
a
real one.
Yeah, because you know sometimes you're exactly right. Whether it's choosing to do comedy, whether it's choosing to leave a business, whether it's choosing to start a workout, is that you're never going to be ready. You know, and that's the whole thing with that New Year's resolution that, you know, I was talking about is that you always think like you're going to, you know, you get yourself pumped up, but once motivation dies, that's when consistency needs to kick in because motivation will die. And so you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be ready to quit smoke. I was never going to be ready. Like I knew if I keep saying this, it's never going to happen. Right. I have to make a conscious choice to say, that's it. I'm done. Like, and actually mean it, you know, because I'm never going to be ready. And I love that because sometimes we can do it ourselves and sometimes we need somebody else to see the potential in us and push us off the dang bridge.
Yes.
You know,
for sure.
Shout out to Naya.
I love that. So in that moment, your first time on the stage, what was the moment? Because I know everybody has a moment when they're doing something that they love and it just clicks and you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Did you have like an aha moment like that?
Yeah. I mean, totally. That was 100% the feeling. Like it's like when time slows down.
Yes.
You know,
I love
it's
that
just
moment.
like you're just freaking in it and like you never want it to end.
Where did your nerves go? Like were you nervous to start out with and did you feel it like die down? Or?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And still to this day, every single time it's like I'm still really nervous before I get on the stage. It's just more about technicalities, like remembering my stuff, remembering like, you know, my inflections and all these different things. But once I open my mouth, like once I get on the stage and open my mouth, like that all goes away.
So they actually teach you guys, like if there is an actual just like speaking or public speaking or anything like that, there's actual like, okay, like you just said a word that I had no idea. You said my inflections. Like they teach you certain things about comedy.
I wouldn't say they teach, but if you keep doing it, that's something you learn.
You know that there's this something, like what is an inflection?
It's just like a change of tone, like a change of like your face. It's like the highs and the lows, right? Instead of saying just monotone, it's like how are you emphasizing different words, different timing.
I feel like a really good comedy person that I could compare that to is like Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac tells us story and his facial expressions change, like his demeanor changes.
The pitches of his...
The way, like his presence on the stage changes.
They go like a good song you like, where like a Whitney Houston or like and or Mariah Carey. She'll take you through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Inflections.
Got it. Okay.
So is your comic like just your identity, who you are as a comedian? Is it more personal? Is it personal experiences?
And is it separate?
Right.
Right. That's something that like I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And I think like as you look at different comics, that's one common denominator in big comics, right? Is like they have a character, like they have a defined, like you know exactly who they are. Like you know exactly what kind of comedy you're gonna get. With me, I've definitely been more self-deprecating. I'm versus being like an observationalist, right? Like I'd rather talk about me than talk about other people. Not in like a selfish way, but more just like, hey, like this is
My
is
shit.
me,
Right.
you know. And so if I'm going through this, if like I'm doing these dumb things, then hopefully you can relate,
Right.
So
Yes.
in that way, so I mean, I've started out. I think that's kind of like the road to comedy anyway. It's like you start with
Right.
what you know. If you're smart, you start with what you know,
Right,
right?
right.
Instead of going in talking about things that like I don't have any place to speak on, right? So I'm going to focus on.
Because, like, as young comics, like, you know, nobody knows who Trenton Cotton is. Nobody knows who
Right.
Lou So is. So nobody wants to come and hear us talk about
Yourself.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like that opinion. It's like, I don't want to hear your opinion. Like, now, do I want to go listen to Dave Chappelle's opinion on
Yes.
this and that? Yes.
Right.
But
Because you know what he's gonna bring.
right. It's
Right.
that part about, let me talk about myself and hope that it's relatable to you part.
Right.
Yeah.
That I think
So
is
there's
important
maybe
first.
phases that
Yeah.
comedians
Yeah,
go
Sounds
through.
like
for
it.
sure.
So when you start off your career, you definitely have to self-identify with your audience, and
Yes.
then it changes.
Yes.
Okay. For
I think
sure.
that's important, you know, and I think just in advertising alone,
Yeah.
one of the very first things my mentor told me is that yes, I want to see a picture of you. I want to know who I'm coming to. I want to know, you know, just this tad bit of information. And so that's your introduction. And then what are you going to do for me? And whether it's making you feel comfortable around me, you know what I mean? I'm still going to do something for you. Whether it's allowing you to relate with me, I'm still doing something for you, you know? So I love that little
Yes.
twist on it.
Yeah. I love that. Absolutely.
So, Lou, okay, you're in this comedy, you're finding yourself in comedy. I have a question because, you know, I'm a comedian, I'm out there too, but one of the things, like, it's different, you know, it's different for me than you simply because male, female.
I was just about
Well,
to.
I have a
I was
question about
curious
that.
if
Yeah.
you were going to ask because we
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit the last time.
Because, you know, there's not a lot of female comics. Like, this is a very.
that are successful.
That is, yes. It's a very, well, yeah, that and just out there. Like, even in the
Yeah.
Springs, there's maybe 3,
Really?
maybe 4. I did see one at, on Sunday at Oysters.
Gosh, that does that.
She was
I
new.
saw one.
I did, and she was funny.
She's like a
out
unicorn. What are you doing out here?
Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to you about her later. But, you know, this is a very male dominated sport.
Correct.
You know, so, and I just know how males are.
So is photography.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So speaking on like, how is it, what's your perspective from like a female, from a female perspective, and how it is, have you been navigating this?
I feel like I would have to
scene?
be on my A game all the time. Like I'm coming to talk shit because y'all ain't coming for me.
See, that's the other part. Well, that's the other part where it's like she's taking it in. Where some
Right.
people will put it outward. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I think and just deflect outwards. Like okay, well I'm gonna just
Right.
And you know that there are comedians like that. Like you know, like don't sit front row in his show because you're gonna get talked about. You know, but
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like I have to. Can you hear me? Is it going in and out?
It was just for
it
the
was.
It was.
You're good now though.
I definitely feel like I have to tread lightly
Yeah.
on this subject, but it's different. It's like I don't want it to come off as a
when you say, are you talking about being a woman? Is that what you're?
yeah in comedy because it's like I don't.
Okay.
That's okay.
Hold on. Sorry. Technical
We're having
difficulties,
technical
guys.
Making sure.
Lou's
Yeah.
getting into a good, we just want to
Yeah.
make sure we hear her. Okay, Lou.
Good. Okay. Because I don't want it to come off sounding like a crutch or an excuse
Yes.
or any of those things, you know, because I have just as much opportunity as everyone else. Some people view me as having more opportunity. Some people view me as having less. It's definitely a hot topic
Yeah.
that a lot of people have opinions on.
So don't give us your opinion. Give us your real, like, this is what I've experienced, like your experience.
Yes, that part. Because I hear what you're saying, Lou, and I understand why you're
And I
going
respect
about it that way.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I think even for other female artists,
Yes.
comedians that are coming up in the business, they may need to be prepared for some of this, you know, as well. Like, hey, look, yeah, it might be a little bit difficult, and here may be why.
Yeah.
You know, due to my experience, not just based, because everybody's gonna have opinion about everything, you know, but you have experience.
Right. So I mean, for the most part, I've been really lucky, and it's been great. Like, I have here in the Springs, like, I have a lot of really close friends, like Trenton. You know, I could name a ton of different comics that are super supportive.
I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to back you up really quick.
She's coming.
Oh, she gon' cry. She gon' cry.
You said that you've had a lot of luck. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I believe that you've had a lot of perseverance and push, and I'm going to do this and kind of fight in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely get a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it could be worse. It could be worse.
Yes.
It can always be worse.
You know, it could be worse. But you
that's what makes
definitely-
you who you are and why you're so great is because you pushing through.
And why you'll be successful if you
Yes.
continue to do so.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be based off of luck and who you know, or, you know, I know this person, and it's going to be based off of what you're doing behind the scenes. So I appreciate that you're really trying to, like,
Right.
put
No.
this coat
Yeah.
on here, but, like, talk about that hard work. Talk about the push that you do have to, like, who are you? You know, why am I going to invite you into my club?
Right. It's just a lot of like personal work at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I cry.
No, but
it's real.
that's the real.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the real.
Yeah. Go ahead, Trent.
Well, I just want to, you know, because the comedy, like, scene or the game, it's a lot of BS. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of BS. And from a male's perspective, looking at the female side of comedy,
Right.
I mean, it's when you see a female comedian go up there from, like, if you're like a male comedy, that's the time you get out of your seat to go grab a cigarette. And you
So
don't
it's
even,
disrespect from the start.
it's like, oh,
Damn.
I'm just being, that's the,
Real. That's
I'm
what
not
it
saying
is.
I do that. That's just like the mentality where that's
God,
where
and see,
normally,
that's
So
funny
there's
because
no
as a woman,
support.
I'd be like, let me stay really quick because I want to hear what she's got to say.
normally, right? Or even,
But that's how men don't look at women like that. They're like, oh, this is time for us to take a break.
Yeah.
it's, you
That's
know what
not
I'm saying?
important.
And when you're, and then in the audience, it's like you get this like, oh, I'm not going to laugh at you.
Right.
Like already off top. You know, so I feel like, and I'm
That's
now
heavy.
again, I'm not a female. I'm just speaking from what I observe. I feel
Right.
like a lot of times females have to work a little bit harder on stage. Maybe Lou didn't want to say that, but I can say it.
Right.
So I always have respect for, you know, female comics who are in this
Right.
game. And then too, men are assholes.
Yes.
They can be really mean and, you know, little
Talk
rumors here or there, talk a little shit on
Well,
you.
and again, men have egos, and those tend to foreshadow over everything
Right.
else. So now you have to put a guard for
Right.
the ego and the BS and
Right.
everything else on top
And
of it.
So you have society and how men in power or in these crazy positions
Yes.
like to be. And with me having a daughter and me kind of acknowledging that, like how it is to be a female in the world
Right.
anyway. Now you enter this male dominated thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy. So I got
But I
mad,
love that.
I got
That's what
mad
I'm saying. Like,
respect
that would
for
make-
Lou
that makes me respect her
because
even more.
I would have quit a long time ago. If I was, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with you.
I probably
motherfucker,
would have
you
gotten
MFers,
kicked out of
or-
somewhere.
Wait, you guys have to, like, what I would say to this and to anything else in life in general is that self-work is a progression thing. There's never a perfection in it. There's never, I have learned, I have mastered, I have conquered. At least for me, there's not. It's always going to be progression towards what you are trying to do.
Right.
And so when you talk about self-work at home, when you talk about what does that look like? Like, what do you do to prepare yourself for this world?
I mean, there's so many different facets in that because obviously, like, I have to do my homework, like I have to be writing, I
Right.
have to be coming up with my jokes, and that is a super important part. Like, you can't skip that part. But the part that I think is actually what's going to get me where I want to go is the personal, like really getting to know myself.
Yes.
And loving myself
Yeah.
as like cheesy as as that sounds, but just on the spiritual side of things.
Yeah.
Like I I don't relate to religion. I have no problem with religion. Just for me, personally in my journey, it's not what's helped me the most. I'm very much like the universe. I'm very much into energy. So it's very much like me manifesting things and like tapping into my source.
Yes.
And just knowing that like it's okay. Like no matter what happens, like
The sky
I know
is
where
actually
I'm going.
not the limit.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The power is within yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I always say, Lou, like what's funny is because I'm Christian. And we have a bad reputation. Christians have a bad reputation just amongst like the world. You know what I mean? We're horrible. We hate people. We hate gays. We hate this. We hate that. And so when I say over and over and over again on the show, to anybody, as I'm a different kind of Christian, is I understand because I believe in the universe and I believe in manifestation, and that's the devil to Christian people. Like so many of them, people that really understand in depth what Jesus was saying, what he was talking about, what he was doing is like, he was the ultimate manifester. Like he was. Do you guys not see what he was doing there? Did you not see that? He also told you that you have the same power within you to create. Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that part for me is what makes me different, because religion, I can't do. You can't tell me that you understand the mind of God so 100% surely that you can tell me exactly what God's thinking. Well, then he wouldn't be God. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to have a conversation and the first thing that comes up is, well, no, this is exactly what this scripture means.
That's a limit.
Right.
What are you talking about? Maybe that's what it meant to you. Yeah. Yes. But to me, the word says it's alive and active, and it speaks to me daily. And it tells me things that, are between the lines.
Yes.
Between the
sheets, baby.
So I love that, because there's nothing wrong with finding yourself in that spiritual world. Do you know what I mean? There is nothing wrong with that. No. And the more and more that you find that peace, the more and more God speaks. Like that's what it is. Yeah. So many people run away from religion because they're actually mad at God.
Y'all ain't listening.
What?
They're actually mad. You know what I mean? And so I don't believe in that. But then if you put them in a room, they get, and I just recently saw it with my sister. She denies God, she denies everything about, it's all universe, which is fine. That's the way you believe. That's okay. I'm not going to sway you. I'm not going to ask you. You have your beliefs. And like you said earlier, to different people, I believe he comes in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but what I noticed is when I was just listening to a scripture, on the TV, and she got mad. That's bullshit, is what she said.
I remember that.
And boy, it stirred up in me like, ooh, you don't get to speak that in my house, because I know how this stuff works. I mean, just look around.
I know that I know that I know.
I know that I know that I know
Right.
how this works.
Stop
Do you know what I
it.
mean? Like anything that I want, I can have. I can
once
desire.
you understand that, it's like you don't have those feelings about what anybody else thinks,
Right.
because you know, again, like there's no black and white.
But at the same time, I'm like I'm thinking like she needs to be careful with her words. Because,
Right.
as
Well,
much as you
she's
believe
speaking
that this
that.
stuff is
Right.
coming to you by the universe, then what you're actually putting
gonna
out
get it.
is what you're going to
If you
get.
keep
know
putting
what I
that
mean?
nastiness,
mad or angry, then you're gonna get more things that make you
Yes. So, just kind of that piece right there. So I love that you've tied that in, because I always say to people, like, oh, you're religious. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not
Right.
religious. I don't do this thing. You know what I mean? I'll tell you don't got to go to church to get to know God. Like you don't, like you can be in the front room, and
Right.
speaking to him. You could be meditating.
Right.
You could be, that's what I'll tell you, because I know the different things that he spoke about. So I'm glad that you're finding yourself and you're finding who you are, because that's what's going to help you demand that stage.
Yes.
When you get up there, you will. And tell me, because you've been up on how many stages now? Have you counted? Have you lost track? Have you?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, 5 days a week.
Wow.
Like every if I can, that's ultimately the goal.
Are they all open mics? Are they scheduled shows? Like how does your schedule work?
A lot of open mics, and then showcases every once in a while. Hopefully, like that will start to flip as I get more material. So right now, I'm just like on the grind trying to.
Where
get
do
more
you find
time.
material? Like, what is it? Daily life? Is it something you actually went through? I mean, I'm sure it is. Like, I went through this, and then you just kind of turn it around into.
Yeah, the core of my stuff is just based on my childhood and growing up and the stuff that I know. But then, I'm always like taking notes throughout the day on just stuff that I think that would be funny. Like I hit my head on the corner of a cupboard the other day and got like so aggressively mad. Like that makes me so mad. Like you can fall and it's just embarrassing. Like if you fall on your ass, like it's just embarrassing. You hit your head, dude. Like you literally turn into Aaron Hernandez.
Like I knew that was
one
right
to the
here.
head.
Oh my God.
You want to kill everybody.
I knew that was right here. Why did I just do that?
Yeah.
Irritation.
So annoying. So annoying. So that's
Do you feel, Lou, that you look for the funny in your everyday life? Like, do you feel like has that helped you in your everyday life? Like, how can I turn this into this situation?
Yeah, for sure. I think as comics, like we get in the habit of just like we just go to open mics and go home, and go to open mics and go home. And it's like you have to go live your life. Like you have to go do other stuff.
I like how you said that, Lou, because if you've noticed, because I haven't seen Lou in a little bit. I think, 3 weeks? I know my daughter came out and that kind of slowed down, but I've kind of dialed the open mic grind back a little bit. You know, I only go to open mics probably like once, maybe 2 times a week. But the trick is getting on those weekend like shows, the brewery bar like showcases. A lot of, you know, the scene out here is you have these comedians that have been in it for a little while, or maybe just 10 months like me, who approach these bar and restaurants or breweries.
Or go out and dress as Santa.
Or go out and dress as Santa and stand on a street corner.
Which was the funniest damn video ever. I freaking love that video.
I'm doing more street engagement videos in 2022.
Those are the things that I love to watch.
That's why I love Eric Andre. That's one of my favorite comedians, and he is natural at it, and it's aggressive and it's uncomfortable. But
that's why I like that
funny.
show. What's the show with the 4 guys?
Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, I love them.
I know, and there's. I know, and when all those guys are comedians,
but
like
when you
stand-up
said to
comedians.
that little kid, like,
I said he can't just be going and talking to people's
he's going to get in trouble.
Disclaimer,
for saying those things.
Disclaimer. I knew that kid's mom, and we set it up, guys. Okay.
Because I was like, he's gonna get arrested.
Okay, look,
kids.
I might be an amateur, but I'm a professional.
Okay, there it is.
Respect, but no, just to on what Lou was saying though, you know, as comedians, we get caught up in the chasing mics. I actually have a song called "Chasing Mics." Shameless plug. It's on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, everywhere they play music. It's called Mics. But anyway, chasing mics every week. Sometimes you forget to just live life and just because the funny is in the life. Like that's what's relatable.
Yes. And that's why I was asking, just because I feel like when you get into your daily routine, you know what I mean? Like you could be sitting here with us and then something comes up. You could be driving home and something happens. But I was also wondering, has that helped you in your daily life too? Like we could go off and we get on the road and we could be like, you know, throwing a fit about something so small or just, you know, and you guys could turn it in. I'm curious, can you turn it in, or is it?
There's
for sure.
I think there's funny in everything.
Oh yeah, you can make anything funny. For
Even tragedy, as cruel as that may sound, but like even tragedy, there's funny in like everything.
Absolutely.
And I feel like as dark as this world is sometimes, and it can be sometimes, man, laughter. I feel like there's so much power with laughter and humor. Like if you could share a laugh with your enemy,
you said
in
that
the same,
podcast,
you know, if it could just change the course of how you guys take that relationship or something, or something happened to you that you feel terrible, and all of a sudden somebody says something and you just laugh. It gives you that chance to forget how depressed or whatever you were in that moment.
It's funny you say that because there's a girlfriend that I had back, you know, I don't want to say back in the day, but a girlfriend of mine, and when we would be at work, something bad would happen. The boss would get pissed off. Something would happen, and there's just this serious like demeanor throughout the office, and so we would just often go up to each other like in that time, like, so do you want to make out? Like straight face, like, you know what I mean? And we would say it around everybody, but everybody was like, what? And then it just killed that ice. You know, it was just like, oh, okay.
I'm calling HR.
For sure.
That's what I was
just
that employee.
Straight face. You know what I mean? Just straight face, like. And we did that, you know, for a while because we did see how it killed the ice. And so just little things like that, being able to stop, whether it's a fight, whether it's, my husband does it to me all the time and I actually hate it. It gets on my damn nerves. Like he will stop, like we'll be pissed at each other and he'll say something really funny and stupid or something just to stop the fight. But I'm like, I want to continue this fight. Like I want to be mad. Yes. You know, but then I'll start laughing and I'm like,
See, it's like what it's supposed to do. Okay. You laugh, you get up, but then it should give you the time to be like, okay.
Yes.
Like,
no, it does.
You know?
It absolutely does.
It does make you check yourself in the moment. Like, shut up, stupid. Get away from me. Get out of here.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of, you know, so he'll say random things. He's always on comedian, I would say. He's always finding the jokes in something, for sure.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
Let's get him on stage.
Oh, don't.
He wants to.
I
He
got
wants
it.
to go, he
Hey,
wants to go head to head with you,
Nano
Trent.
108 Brewery, but you got to do it on stage. February.
Free.
He would
free.
you think he would?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay, I'm putting it out there, Nando. You need to do it. It's time for you to. You've been talking cash shit.
Lou, how many
For a
times has
while.
somebody been like, "Oh, I can do that," or get on
Oh
stage?
my gosh, every day.
Well, Dana was one, right? He thought he could like.
I think Dana can do it. I actually
I don't
have
think
been
Dana can
bugging him. I don't
execute it,
think he
though.
wants to do it.
Yeah,
I
you
think
have
he
to have
could.
a passion for it, right? You have to have.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, it's just not something you just choose to do. People are, one of the biggest fears is people are scared crapless
Public
to
speaking.
get,
Yes.
public speaking. So that is another form of public speaking, regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah, you definitely have to have like a driving desire that sometimes we wish we didn't have. Like,
to get up and
yeah,
Facts.
yeah.
So
It's
tell
just like,
me-
why am I doing this again? I'm crazy.
Tell me about a bad experience that you've had on stage.
Ooh, come on, Lou. Talk about the one I want you to talk about, please.
The what? The what? What? Tell me what.
Your bad experience.
I love how he knows.
Right, already for you.
And
was
I'm like,
there.
in my head, I'm like, that was great. Like, go ahead, Trent.
No, talk about the roast.
Oh, you want me to talk about the roast? Oh, okay.
Well, the rose wasn't her performing though, no? It was just something that
it was
was
an experience in
okay.
comedy.
okay.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
does all comedians go through it?
So is it like, is the roast like what it sounds like a comedian sits on the stage and
Yeah,
another comedian roasts
explain
them?
what it was.
Yeah.
Lou.
So, a roast is where like there's a specific person highlighted. In this instance, it was Thadby. It was his birthday, so he's like, "Yo, I want to do a roast show for my birthday."
But on other people.
No, but like, so that's what's
On
funny.
himself.
It's sad.
So it was a birthday roast. He's the main guy, but
Right.
then there's 6 other comedians that sit on stage and who are roasting him. But how a roast like that works is
Right.
you say a little something about every comedian on stage before you get to the main guy. So Lou was one of the 6 comics on
Okay.
stage that night.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was very apprehensive. I honestly didn't want to do it because naturally, I'm not a mean person. I don't, and part of it is I don't want to dish it because I don't think I can take it back. Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
Right.
very sensitive.
Yes.
And you
I'm
already know
smart
that.
enough
Yeah.
to freaking know that. That's why I don't talk shit.
Right.
You know? But anyway, that is a very, very good friend of mine. He's my little brother. So I'm listen, I'm going to do it because it's his birthday. It's what he wants to do. The week prior,
You were there.
I was one of the comics involved.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
also one of the worst experiences of my life, but that's not my story.
So, I think both of us kind of had similar feelings towards it. But, the week prior, I had just a really hard week. I had called Trent and talking to him about it. Just some things that had been said to me and about me and, just very much in a negative connotation, basically taking away, the work that I put in,
Right.
being funny and just, typical girl comic things. I'm just trying to sleep my way to the top. The only reason
Right.
I'm getting booked up for things is because I'm, flirting or I'm sleeping with someone
Right.
or, it's not that I'm sending my tape.
Right.
I get booked out of the state. And
Shout out that too, because a lot of you little local comics out here ain't doing that. Continue, Lou.
Go ahead.
Yes.
so how that happens is I send my tape in an email and I'm like, listen, this is my stuff.
Right.
I would love the opportunity to come work at your club. And they either say yes or no. And so I have been told yes on more than one occasion based off of my comedy.
Right.
And the
But
tape is just a performance
it's,
or
it's just a clip of my being on stage doing jokes, right?
Okay.
But anyway, so a lot of times that kind of gets taken away because of other things, right? So I try not to let it get to me, but it does. So then I'm just man, I don't even want to do this roast because I don't know how people in this community even feel
Right.
about me. And I was just feeling just sad.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable,
Yes.
sad. So I don't know. So I'm whatever. I'm just gonna go to the roast because I can't back out because then everyone's just gonna
Then you're
think
gonna
I'm
get
even-
shit for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be even worse, right? So I go and we get on the stage. They put Luke Stam up first, who is just a
disgusting comic.
nightmare. Just a nightmare, dude. He will tear anybody, no shame. He will tear you apart. So the order is Luke Stam and then me, right? Or was there one more? I think it was Luke and then me.
Maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, like Luke, yeah, just went hard. Like he just like basically said that, you know, my face is awful and I don't know, my body is way better than my face. And I don't know. I mean, what else they say?
Stuff.
Just really mean stuff. But the only thing they
Vile.
had to really say is about my making fun of my face.
Your appearance.
And yeah, and my body.
So
or
not
whatever.
original at all.
Hacky stuff, Luke.
Yeah.
You're a hack, Luke.
So then, I mean, I got up there and did my jokes, and I feel like they were pretty well written, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to say about
So look, that night, because Lou, I'll say it, you know, Lou was in tears.
Yeah, I was crying. I was sitting next to him, like on the stage crying. I was like, can you tell that I'm crying? Like I was like literally like trying to keep it cool, like looking at Trenton. Like I was like, oh my God. You know, is my lash falling off? Like,
Everybody but me went pretty hard on Lou.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you
No
know,
shame.
but I'll say this, though. As awful as that was for Lou was the best because she gave it out to everybody.
You told me that.
Yeah,
You told me that.
she hit every single one of those comics except for me. She hit them all, and she got big laughs, big laughs. She was probably I thought one of the best of the 6 that were up there.
Good.
So to me, as awful of an experience as that was for you, Lou, I was back there looking at like, man, if anybody, and there was a few comics in the scene that weren't there that I was glad that they were there
to see
that. So it's like, all right, if there's any conversation that this woman is not funny, should be put to bed right the
now.
F now.
Yeah.
And I was like,
especially after taking that.
Exactly. And knowing what state she was through that week, and she didn't even want to do it.
Right.
But she was like, okay, y'all talk about me, but you know what? I got all of y'all. I was like, damn, that to me, I was like, this is a really good moment for Lou. And you got right back up on that stage the next day and the next week. So like, it just made you stronger, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it did. You know, and I did. I definitely did well. Like I crushed that shit.
Rushed.
Yeah.
I did. And people were coming up to me after like, we respect you so much more now. This, no. So it's like, I think I made like a little post afterwards and I was just like, listen, like I really didn't want to do it, but like sometimes like do the things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you have to challenge yourself and like
that.
I was so uncomfortable. That's the most uncomfortable I have ever been, but it changed me for sure, and it made me better, and now everybody
Gets it. Sees
Yeah,
it now.
yeah.
Yes.
Looks like you were gonna cry up a little bit right there, Trent.
I'm just looking to the heavens. And
Yeah. I mean, just a little bit. It looked like
I cried.
our duty is to get this man to cry. Like it is like it's like we are gonna.
What y'all don't know is all the time after these podcasts, I go in my car and I cry my eyes out.
I'm not buying that. But I love the story. I love the story. And I want to ask you, how do you like nurture yourself after taking beatings like that?
I cry.
Like,
I
is it
cry
hard?
a lot.
Do you go home and like self-soothe?
Ugly.
Like, is there like a moment where you're just like, all right, I just need to be left alone?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I do that a lot. I do that after like a lot of sets, because
I would be fighting somebody. Like I would be throwing something or attacking somebody, and then I would cry later.
It was weird.
And then we'd have to bail you out.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish, man. It was weird because after that show, like I was on such a high because like I did so well, and so many people were like literally just freaking coming up to me after, like that's like the most like praise I'd ever gotten. So I was like on this high about it.
Right.
But then all this shit that they said, then that came in
You're, like,
after my
replaying
high.
it, like-
and I'm like, wait a minute, they said my face.
I think that is so crazy because, you know, as you through this podcast, I'm just thinking, you know, we make laughter, we make jokes at ourselves. Well, we don't. Like, I mean, maybe every once in a while I don't, but comedians do it often.
Right. Yeah.
And I wonder how that has an effect on the power of your words being so profound. Like, do you know what I mean? Is it the fact that you're able to speak it and not believe it? Or is it because words are powerful?
I think about that all the time because I'm like, I want to stay funny, but I'm also on this like journey of like of not thinking that much, right? You know, and just like staying feeling good.
Sure.
Yes.
That's where I'm at, right? But in comedy, it's like you have to kind of like bring up all these different things, and so that's a really great point because that's the balance that I'm trying to find. But honestly, so some of like my favorite people that I listen to, like Abraham Hicks, you know, I don't know if you know, like Esther and Jerry Hicks. I listen to their stuff all the time. And Eckhart Tolle, I listen to him all of the time. These people are funny. Like when I'm listening to their stuff, like Eckhart, like cracks jokes.
Have you heard of You're a Badass by Jen Sincero? I highly encourage you to get that book or listen to it audible because she is so audible. Funny. But she's so real. She's so real. Like, and she does have that mix of the comedian. That's why I love listening to her because she just talks like real deal stuff, but you're a badass. Like you need to know that. Like you need to step into that. Like, and I love that she really encourages other women to do that.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to.
But Leah, the words part, the powerfulness, because I almost don't even want to speak this out loud because I don't want other comedians to figure this out. No, I'm just playing.
Look, you do. Remember that's lack and scarcity.
I know, you're right.
You don't give, that's lack and scarcity.
Right. But it's this thing of like, I'm starting to realize that stand-up comedy is like magic. And I say that because it's like, okay, I know these emotions, like these human emotions that to get people to laugh, right? So it's like set up, punchline, the magic trick. Oh, wow. Ha, 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 ha. I didn't see that coming. It's like, But then now I'm starting to like, you know, these conversations that I have, shout out Uber driving and stuff. But these conversations I'm having with people where I'm like, this is kind of awkward. This passenger is taking it this way. I'm going to say these magic words to make it go the way I want it to go. Yeah. Like I'm tricking him. And it's like, I almost feel weird. Like, whoa,
I was just about to say, I hope I can be your authentic self.
And that's what it is. It's like, there's these moments, but I think, you know, if any manager or any boss or anybody like, you know, are you being your authentic self when you're at work or, you know, so it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of to kind of dive in.
And I think everybody needs to understand is, you know, we talk so much about authenticity and being real and like, you know, taking off the filters, like literally that's what my book is about. Is like taking all of that stuff off, like get rid of the facade because the more that you become relatable to somebody, the more they are like, oh, I love you because you're just as messed up as me.
Yes.
Right. Do you know what I mean? But like saying that to say that I still have a work demeanor. Yes. Do you know what I mean? So I can't be always 100% Leah with every single client. I just can't because I have to cater to their emotions, to their feelings, to their vulnerabilities, to their insecurities. And I dance with that. Do you know what I mean? And so there's nothing wrong with throwing you in there and there's bits and pieces, but I'm not going to possibly just, you know, I'm not going to be always performing at like, you know, like and sometimes I can feel it. I'll be like, I can be 100% with this person, like I'm gonna just hear it all in.
I can see it when you come upstairs and you catch the vibe within the first 5 minutes how the tone is gonna be, like if you relate with them or you don't.
You're doing what comedians do, because Lou, what do they tell you when you get on stage and before you get in front of the audience? You have to what, like before you go off and tell your jokes,
you have to get on their same level.
You know, you read the room. You
gotta read the room,
Sit
and experience and be in the room with them.
Whatever they're experiencing, you want to be experiencing. So you want to talk about something that they can relate to, whether it's something on the wall or
or it's like okay, I'm gonna go, because I think being on stage and being a stand-up comedian is, sometimes I look at it like this is my opportunity to be my most authentic self in this moment, and maybe I want to talk about. Like I had this one white guy come up to me after this one show I did, because sometimes I talk about like my blackness and how it is being black, and there's all these other white people, and there was this white guy, you know, he had the look of a conservative, like redneck, red-blooded American,
nervous,
you know, and he came up to me after my set and was like, had his arms crossed, he was like, you know, before you started, and I didn't really like you. But then he was like, but you know what? By the end of your jokes, you're all right.
Oh, my God.
White guy. I was like, he had to be in his like later 40s, early 50s. And I'm just like,
crazy.
Thanks. But that
was probably a really good compliment for you to have with the set that you put up. Like, you got me.
I got to talk about an uncomfortable situation for him. You know, I'm talking about the N-word, all of this. But I was able to make this guy who's normally uncomfortable around that stuff be like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming with that. Right. So like that part was cool.
So I guess I want to go back to the question then. How do you separate the power of your words? If you're talking mess on yourself, if you're talking about your insecurities, or you're talking about how this or whatever, how do you flip that? You kind of said self-work, like going back and reading and affirming back into your life the things that you know deeply by listening or reading or Audible. Is that?
Yeah. A lot of like, who are you listening to? Right.
Yeah.
But I think, finding like the joy and the laughter in it. So for me, it's like, there's either, as a comic, you're either a complainer or a bragger. Those are like basically like the two. You can separate pretty much everyone into either one of those.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. I think you can still keep comedy on the positive. And if you know the laugh trigger is like misdirection for one, like just like taking something. So it doesn't always have to be negative. I think you do have to be vulnerable and raw, but you do have an opportunity to take something negative and turn it to the upswing, right? Like, and that's the funny, because that's the misdirection. Like, it's like this like bad thing, but then you turn it into a positive thing, which is, you know, is kind of moving things in the direction that you want to go. But I don't know. I haven't quite figured it out.
Maybe the separation is, maybe for me, maybe it's relationships. And I mean that, like, when you get off the stage, it's like, now we're not performing anymore.
Right.
So
I've heard it, and then we talked about that the other day, where I was making a joke about it. I think it was Kevin Hart that did it, where he was like, look, when I'm off, I'm off.
Right.
Like, you know,
Don't
I'm not like, I'm not always on,
joke.
because that is his performing. Like, yes, he's a comedian. That is his work. That is his job.
Right. And it's like, you know, even like, because when I come here and I'm either, you know, working with y'all or just kicking it or speaking it, you know what? I'm going to let, like, it's Whitney's stage. Like, go ahead and talk your stuff. Whitney or Leah, like, seriously, like, sometimes as a comedian, you get into this, like, oh, you know, hearing yourself talk kind of thing. But,
always
you know,
on.
when you have these good, healthy relationships with certain people, it's like, I want to hear kind of like what you told me, Dana Keith told you. Shout out to Dana Keith. I always like shouting him out on this podcast.
Stop shouting him out.
Dana Keith, shut up.
But he told you, you know, what did he tell you to like what makes
be
like
curious.
Be curious.
Yes.
It's like that part. You know, we always have to stay curious. And when I get off the stage, I want to stay curious, because I always tell people, hey, whatever you say to me, you're not a comedian. So whatever you say to me, I will steal it and I will use it on the stage. Because that's funny to me.
It's fair game.
So the more I shut my mouth when I'm off stage, I think the funnier I could be. To just listen.
Hey, that's a nice little tip.
You want to know something else that I realized too, that just like listening to yourself and really paying attention to like how you're feeling, because there will be times like where I will have written out my joke list, but then I don't feel like doing those jokes.
Right.
Like, I'm not into it. Like, yes, that's my joke. I wrote that joke,
but I'm not feeling it right now.
Feel it,
right.
you know? And so I've really tried to pay more attention to like, what am I feeling right now? Because that's what's going to come across the best. Because if I'm feeling my joke, if I love my joke, if I think my joke is funny, then other people are going to think it's funny. But if I'm up there just doing it to do it and I'm not into it, nobody else is going to be into it either. Yeah. So that's like this thing.
You have dropped some gems, girlfriend.
Yes.
You really have. You have dropped some gems on this show, I think, for the listeners to be able to really take, whether you're in the comedian world, like I said, whether you're in a different world, you know, I hope that you guys will share with your comedian friends. I hope that they will see some of this vulnerability and this authenticity that we got to experience right here on this stage. Right. And, but you have dropped some gems for, I think, business owners, for people, entrepreneurs, for people that are trying to come up, you know, some of the just stories that you went through. I think that's an amazing thing. I pretty much asked all the questions except for what I'm going to call the Fast Five. So there's a new segment.
Ooh, Fast Five.
We're rolling out a new segment on Between the Sheets.
We're running a new little segment. I just came up with it.
The last time she gave us a task, I did not like it. So best of luck to you.
No, it's like no, it's not like that. No, but no, the Fast Five is I just want you to answer these questions as quickly as you can. Oh God. I'm just curious. So I'm just staying curious.
Don't you my life for this.
Let me sneak a pig in between the sheets.
Yes. So I'm gonna call this the Fast Five. So, who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, either Bill Burr or Louis C.K.
Louis K.
Yeah.
And is that woman Lucy?
No, Louis.
Louis. Okay,
C.K. He is
so
a very
no
dark
favorite
comedian.
female comedian.
I have some that I like. I mean,
Not one that comes like this though.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
Organically, no. I like really dark, awful comedies.
Okay.
Like suicide jokes are my favorite.
Oh my gosh.
Kill yourself. Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Disclaimer.
What stage do you picture yourself on that pushes you to keep going?
Radio City Music Hall.
Ooh, that's a
She
good
went
one.
right to that.
Because she knows, because she's already seen it. She's already seen it.
Yep.
What are you most afraid of?
Not living my life, not doing everything that I want to do every single day.
Love it. Love it. What inspires you to keep going the most?
That fear of not making the most out of my life.
Right.
What is your message to other women who might want to join the comedian world?
Just do it. Just do it now. Because either way, you're going to fail. So just get it over with.
Yeah.
Woo! That's good advice.
Hey!
That was good.
You guys like that little segment?
Yeah.
Damn, she killed it too.
She
First
did.
time. So you didn't even know it was
Ooh.
coming.
Fast five.
Fast five. That's right. I'll let you guys take
like
that,
that.
anytime you want. Like you just come up with your own fast five.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
I share. That's this. I share.
I share.
You guys, thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you for coming and putting yourself on this stage.
Yes.
Just a little bit different, it's a little bit more intimate. So I'm glad that you also said that it made you a little uncomfortable, you know, because we get to learn like, okay, what makes comedians comfortable and what doesn't. Some of this intimate stuff
Yeah,
is a little bit more
totally.
intimidating.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
thank you
so-
for being vulnerable. You don't have to come up here and speak about your life.
Well, thanks for having
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to kill it with that. This is Between the Sheets with Leah.
Bye, y'all. See you
Bye,
later.
guys. See you. Get in between them sheets.
What?
What's the book? Like the press.
What?
Okay, that makes more
Press
sense
and
now,
you lift
Trent.
the page.
Yes.
And then I like to fold
See you
it.
next time.
Fold it. We out.